Hi, my name is Katie Armstrong, and today I'll be talking about personalized learning in education. So to start off, what is personalized learning? So personalized learning is instruction that meets students' individual needs. It's instruction in a classroom that is tailored to learning preferences of students and the specific interest of these students. You often see personalized learning where the pace of learning is adjusted, for slower or faster learners. The objectives, the approaches, the content, and the tools are all tailored and optimized for each student. The learning is driven by interests, and they're often given a choice as to, how they're learning, what they're using to learn, when and where, etc. So personalized learning is important in education because not every student has the same learning style. I mean, that's very obvious. Like, you might learn in a certain way. I might be really good at math and science, but my friend might be really good at English and writing papers and reading books. And we just all have different learning styles and interests. And the purpose of education is to learn, information and prepare students for the future, whatever career they might go into. And our current education system attempts to prepare, students for the future and teach them important skills, but it's really based on conformity. Personalized learning is not that common in classrooms. Usually standardized testing is much more common, where students are given a specific, learning outline and specific lecture or education, and they're tested, the exact same way. This is seen with Common Core in classrooms. So Common Core is a set of high-quality academic standards in mathematics and the English language, arts, literacy. Their learning goals outline what a student should know and be able to do at the end of each grade. The standards were created to ensure that all students graduate from high school with the skills and knowledge necessary to succeed in college, career, and life, regardless of where they live. So the purpose of Common Core is so that, no matter where students are living, they are given the same education, no student left behind, and they're supposed to be learning the exact same things. The issue with that is students are being taught these things in the exact same way, and the exact same way doesn't work for every student and every student's learning style. This is just an example of how Common Core math is different from traditional math. Common Core math is just taught to every student, and they're all expected and tested to learn math now this way, so that it's standardized across the nation. As we see here, there are 41 states that have adopted Common Core into their curriculum, which is a lot of states. And I think the importance behind our current education system is that we're not performing educationally as high as I think, assume we are as a country. We definitely are a powerhouse country in terms of economics and innovations and all sorts of things, but we are not a powerhouse when it comes to education. We generally fall in the middle of the pack, and internationally, other countries score higher than us. So what is the discrepancy? And it's definitely the way, that our education system works and the learning styles that we're catering to, which we aren't. We're standardizing everything. This is a good example. This is just a funny little comic that shows if we test every student the same exact way, they're not going to perform the same way. In this example, the monkey is clearly going to climb the tree in, a few seconds, whereas the fish is never going to be able to leave the fishbowl. And so we can't test the monkey and the fish the same exact way because they have a different level of skill sets that they bring, to the table. And this goes back to relates to society and culture, not only in education, but we personalize everything. No one's expected to get the same job, and no one would perform well if they all had the same job. Some people are really good at IT and computer skills, and so they work in the IT department. And then you have CEOs that are really good at interacting with other people and, making big decisions. And then you have, people really good at marketing. And none of these employees are going to be able to take over someone else's position. I know I worked at a company this summer, and I loved working with the marketing aspects. But if I were to ever go over to the IT, I could not fix somebody's computer, and the company would probably crumble. Same goes if I were to work in the accounting sector. If you asked me to handle money for the company would probably crumble. And that's because we're not all expected to, have the same skill set, and we don't all have the same skill set. So in our society and culture, um, we see in the workplace and then in athletics and all these different things that everyone is bringing something different to the table, and that's how people are succeeding. This quote by Albert Einstein kind of goes along with the fish and monkey climbing a tree comic from earlier. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And so, in order for people to succeed, they really have to adhere towards their, skill set. Um, so that goes back towards what we're talking about with personalized learning. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to adhere towards student skill sets. So for personalized learning, in order for this to happen, education needs to adapt to students' needs. This can involve creativity in the classroom, adhering to different learning environments, and creating unique methods for students to learn. There's a number of ways that personalized learning occurs in classrooms, and classrooms can be changed to uh, allow for personalized learning. I listed a few below, but the main thing would be a flipped classroom where it's not only traditional lecture, but students, teachers are able to get videos or articles or other ways that students can learn outside the classroom, so that students' learning isn't strictly based on traditional classroom lectures. Students have the ability to learn in a different way that might be more beneficial to them. Another example of this is actually a vertical classroom. And there are a few vertical classrooms in the United States where basically students in the classroom have a whiteboard. And let's say they're given a math problem. So they have to work with a diverse group in the classroom to solve this problem. And in their group on the whiteboard, they're standing up and they basically work through their thought process on this whiteboard. So they're able to show other students in the class, this is how I'm thinking, this is how I got to here. And then their classmates are saying, okay, well, that's really neat. I got the same answer, and this is how I got there. And then maybe another student says, well, I got a different answer, but this is how I did it. And they're able to collaborate and, learn based on their learning style, maybe discover other learning styles that work best for them. And it's also kind of a flipped classroom idea or a non-traditional classroom where they're not sitting at a desk the whole time and they're standing up. And this might be really beneficial for a kid who has attention problems or ADHD and can't sit still, for an hour class period. And they need to be standing up, and that, keeps them occupied. Another idea of how this can be implemented in classrooms is Google Classroom, where teachers can post different articles and different, assignments for students to learn in different formats. This is just another example of students who all have different, abilities, and in order for personalized learning to succeed and to be implemented, we have to adhere to each of these abilities in the classroom. So in terms of the teacher and their role in personalized learning, I think it's very important that teachers, their role is very important and very vital to personalized learning. They must be dynamic. They have to adapt to their students. Utilizing technology is a must because technology allows them to manage their diverse classroom. They have to define mastery because if you take away standardized testing, how are you grading students and what constitutes passing? You might not be giving them an A, B grade, but you need to constitute what is effective. And what is your why? Why is this? And they need to understand why this is important because it's so different from traditional teaching. So in order for it to work, they have to be passionate about their students' learning. My major is science, biological science. So we see personalized learning in STEM in a lot of different ways. Like I mentioned earlier with the flipped classroom, most of my classrooms are flipped, and I see personalized learning in this aspect. And I also think a big thing is I had to do a lot of group projects, a lot of projects presenting my research. And in this, a lot of students have different abilities, and the group project allows for us students to be graded on our skill set. So I'm really good at presenting, so I usually like to present, and someone else might be really good at creating graphs. someone else designing the poster, and someone else coming up with the research, and we all put our skill sets forward and get graded on that. And so I don't, my friend who is terrified of public speaking doesn't get graded on their presentational ability. So the ISTE standards are met for both students and teachers through personalized learning. I have them listed to the side of the PowerPoint, but as you can kind of assume, by utilizing a lot of technology, students have the freedom to choose their personalized learning, and they're becoming digital citizens and learning how to be responsible. They're still having to, construct knowledge and think computationally, but they're able to be innovative and creative, and they're still communicating with other students through personalized learning. And for teachers, a lot of the same things along the same line. Using so much technology allows them, to be digital and promote digital citizenship and, design digital learning experiences, and, inspire student creativity. But I think a big thing for teachers, it allows them to grow professionally, because they're going to have to learn a lot more, methods in order to personalize their teaching to students. And so I think that's a really big one that personalized learning hits in terms of teachers. And here's my references, and thank you very much.